Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbie. I am the founder, president, and CEO of GERCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. On this platform, we discuss authentic urban news across the diaspora and what's happening in Africa. If you're joining us for the first time, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe button on my YouTube page. We encourage our listeners worldwide to engage with us by leaving a public comment about the topics in the comment section below this audio podcast. Help make our audio podcast and our video podcast go viral by sharing my YouTube page with all of your Facebook friends and any other social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Disclaimer: the content for this educational and informational purposes only. It is based on public available reports and verified media sources. We fully comply with YouTube's community guidelines. We do not promote violence, hate, or misinformation in any form. This podcast is available in three forms: audio, video, and also as a written text in order for us to reach our audience. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our Black media component. I would like to encourage my listeners to subscribe to my Medium page or Medium transcript where you can follow along during this presentation. I provide my Medium transcript in the comments section below this audio podcast on my YouTube page. I want to do more than just news and social commentary, but at this point in time, this is where I'm at. It doesn't matter how bad I would like to get my Christian business up and running in Chicago. Without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I'm unable to do my God given assignment, which is to create the best African American business within the United States of America with the help of GERCAM members. Um, we are failing our children, and that's an awful shame because I've been pushing my vision now for 33 years. Next Monday, November 10th, will mark 34 years. It's extremely frustrating. And some of the stuff that I wrote in the book, I'm just going to have to, we're going to have to do other things because I'm 34 years behind schedule. Not because of uh, it's not my fault. That's all I can tell you. Again, God give us free will. The problem is this slave mentality within Black society. That's unfortunate. And that's going to be the downfall of Black America, unfortunately. But I am standing against that. And I'm going to do the best that I can while I'm still here in the United States of America to get this business up and running. It's not for me. This business is for those of you that have children because it's going to be even worse for them. Black America should have embraced my vision and plan 33 years ago. We wouldn't even be in this type of situation. But it is what it is. Let's keep it a buck. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying my revised book. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from purchasing items from my virtual store. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from donating to my film project. That's a personal choice. That's Willie Lynch in real time, ladies and gentlemen. And Willie Lynch is that slave mentality. And that's what we're going to come against in my Christian business. Upcoming events. Saturday, November 8th, we have two guest speakers. One, Prophetess Hope, and she's from Nigeria, and the other, Pastor Goodness, and she's also from Nigeria. Monday, November 10th, we're celebrating Gurkam's 34th anniversary. It's going to be freestyle. Everybody is welcome. The time would be 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. So please mark your calendars for that. And, you can ask me anything that you want to as it pertains to Gurkam. Again, I am reaching out to the global African family from Canada, in the Caribbeans, in Europe, and across the African continent. I need your help. Please help me get my revised book on that bestsellers list. And if you have family members that live in the following 10 African nations, encourage them to work with me, encourage them to read my story as well, because this is my last resort. I'm reaching out to African immigrants within the United States of America, as well as Black Americans beyond Chicago, throughout the United States of America. Because again, all I have is my revised book, my virtual store, my online groups on Facebook, and this platform. And so I'm trying to use this platform to broadcast my vision and plan in hopes of recruiting brave and smart, like-minded Black Americans outside of Chicago, and brave and smart African immigrants from 10 African nations. They are as follows: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. Need you all to read my story. Help me get that book on that bestsellers list so that way the Black world can take our cause serious. And those of you that live in the United States, I want to encourage you to become part of our film project team. That means for you to work with me directly, because there's no middleman here. Work with me directly. Help me get this film project fully funded. Be a part of the whole process. Help me make this film. Once we raise that $250,000, then I'm going to encourage those of you that's able to come to Chicago. I need boots on the ground. We're going to do this film here in Chicago. This film is based on my life experience and all the foolishness I went through in terms of trying to get Gurkam up and running. Sacrifice 33 years of my life trying to get this thing off the ground. It shouldn't have to take this long, but this is spiritual warfare at its best. And so I'm grateful I didn't give up. I'm grateful that, thank God again for the internet, because if it wasn't for the internet, I would have taken my vision and plan to my grave. My thing is, I just want to get it popping just in Chicago only. I want to turn the business over to my management team. And before I cut and run to Africa, I want to make sure that Sister Renee is well taken care of. I want to make sure that we get the business popping on the west side of Chicago, as well as expand it to the south side of Chicago to make Chicago a model city. That's what I want to be remembered for, trying to do something positive. Even though if I have to get people outside of Chicago to work with me, so be it. But one thing for sure, ain't nothing changed. Those that have rejected me, my vision and plan for the past 33 years will not be part of my business. This is membership base. And sorry, brothers and sisters, um, from the global African family, but Black Chicagoans, they made me this way, pushed me in the corner. So I had no choice but to come out fighting. I love Chicago, love my people. But those that's melanated just like us, those urban terrorists, those are the ones that, we're going to keep an eye on and keep our distance from. Con artists, if I catch any con artists up in my business, there will be consequences. That's all. We'll put them on black. We're going to have everything protocol. So, but that's why I want to make sure I have my management team in place, smart and brave people that's going to help me run this thing instead of me having to do everything. Um, this is a shared burden. This is not my burden alone. All right. So with that being said, please mark your calendar for our next monthly virtual interactive conference, which will be Saturday, November 29th, 2025. Now, that's going to be our last monthly virtual interactive conference for the year. Um, if those of you that would like to make arrangements with me, like in the month of December, to come on this podcast to promote your, let's say, your business, or if, or do a minute, or sorry, tongue tied, or if you want to come on here and share a sermon, we will let that happen up until I say December 20th. So, but you have to make arrangements with me to make that happen. Again, the best way is to send me a message to my Facebook inbox, with your name, and include your email address, so that way I can send you the Zoom link through Facebook Messenger, as well as through um, your email. Join us in this virtual interactive conference, everyone on my Facebook page, everyone in my Facebook social groups, both Christian and secular. Although we don't have a physical building at this time, we are using this technology to broadcast what we're trying to do in Black Chicago and beyond. On this platform, we're genuine, sincere, transparent, and authentic. This event will help expand your network, enhance your profile visibility, and make more meaningful connection with the global community. The theme is re-examining the Willie Lynch letter and what GCAM members can do about it. Where Zoom Live, time 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. We are looking for 5 or more people from my Facebook page or from my Facebook groups who are able to participate on our panel. Please send me a message to my Facebook inbox along with your email address, so that way I can send you specific instructions about being on the panel. I will post the Zoom link on my Facebook page and also in my Facebook social groups. Also, in the comment section below this audio podcast, I'm going to have the link the for the audio book about the Willie Lynch letter. You need to listen to that first if you want to come on the panel, so you could talk about that. Title of this presentation: The Consequences of Anti-Black Racism in America and Black Americans Must Abandon American Individualism. Our first topic: the consequences of anti-Black racism in America. On November 1st, 2025, America started to realize how expensive racism can be. We're all paying the price for it. 42 million Americans depend on food stamps to hit their accounts, and for most of them, it didn't. Before y'all start with who is using these benefits, let me give you the facts. 40% of the recipients are white Americans. When we talk about food assistance in America, we're not talking about some isolated demographic. We're talking about a program that feeds white Americans, Black Americans, Asian Americans, Latino Americans, etc. The big, beautiful bill is just another example of how many Americans are voting against their interests. This piece of legislation made major cuts to the SNAP program, was disguised as fixing wasteful spending. It took billions out of the budget that feeds needy families. A significant portion of the people who depend on SNAP voted for this bill. They voted for cutting government entitlement programs. They cheered at rallies where politicians promised to slash these programs. They celebrated the idea of reducing government dependency. So on November 1st, all of a sudden, reality started to kick in. White Americans thought that this was going to hurt Black Americans, when in fact, it was going to hurt anyone who depends on these entitlement programs, including white Americans. Now, let me be clear, this isn't nothing um, to be mocking people about. People are really suffering from these cuts, especially, the children. This is about exposing the system that was convincing Americans to participate in their own devastation. As I mentioned many times before, the foundation of America is anti Black racism before the US Constitution was written. It's not just about harming Black Americans, it's also about getting the public to buy into a framework where harming Black Americans become acceptable and the norm, where cruelty becomes policy, where cutting resources is celebrated as saving America from wasteful spending. And once you establish that framework, once you normalize that level of callousness, it becomes policy. That's how white supremacy works. It grows and eventually affects everyone. For example, anti-Black racism operates on a principle that says, quote, as long as everyone else is suffering more than me, then I'm okay with it. It's a comparative suffering model. It tells poor white Americans, you might be struggling, but at least you're not Black. That's how psychological manipulation works. And this has been the foundation of American policy for generations. Systems of oppression don't have loyalty. It doesn't care about your skin tone. When it comes time to cut the budget, when you vote to harm anyone, you're actually voting to harm anyone who depends on these entitlements, including poor whites. The Republicans who promoted the big, beautiful bill knew exactly what they were doing. They wrapped cuts to social programs in the language of fiscal responsibility and American values. These politicians talk about people who are taking advantage of the system. They promote negative stereotypes of undeserving recipients. This is the consequences of anti-black racism that everybody that nobody wants to discuss. When you allow a society to be structured around the dehumanization of one group, you create a roadmap for dehumanizing everyone else. When you make it acceptable to say poor black mothers don't deserve to feed their children, then you've made it acceptable to say that eventually all poor mothers who need assistance don't deserve to feed their children. Now, through social media, we're seeing it being played out in real time. These same voters who cheered politicians cutting welfare benefits are now the same ones calling their representative asking about their benefits. They're posting videos on Facebook, TikTok, and X complaining about their SNAP benefits not getting loaded. Now they're panicking about how they're going to feed their children, especially uh, Thanksgiving is coming up this month. So I hope that this will be a lesson learned about the system. The issue isn't just about individual voters making bad choices. It's about a system created by the white supremacist financial elites to pit poor, the working poor against the so-called underclass, and the middle class against the working poor. The then the racial elements, poor blacks against poor whites, while the billionaire class extract everything of value. It's about creating a scenario where people who should be allies are instead becoming enemies, fighting over crumbs, where poor white Americans are convinced that their struggle is caused by poor black Americans. The SNAP program costs roughly $80 billion a year. That sounds like a lot of money until you realize that's what some individual billionaires are worth. That's what corporations avoid um, paying taxes through loopholes. But the conversation never focused there. The conversation always um, focus on families that deserves the $200 a month for groceries. The scrutiny is always looking downward, never upward. So when the big beautiful bill passed with cuts to SNAP benefits, it wasn't about saving money. It is about reinforcing a hierarchy. It was about reminding people where they stand in the social order. And anti Black racism is the tool they use to maintain that order. Because if they can convince Americans that Black Americans are getting something we don't deserve, then that can convince other Americans to fight against Black Americans. November 1st was predictable. Advocates warned about it. Policy analysis explained the impact. But those warnings were dismissed. So, what's going to happen next? Millions of Americans are going to face a crisis. Children are going to go to bed hungry. Working poor families are going to have to make impossible choices between paying for rent or paying for food. We have three options that I can think of. One option is to let people suffer and say they got what they voted for. We could turn our backs and say this is the consequences of their choice. That option doesn't solve anything. It doesn't feed children. It doesn't build a better system. It's just perpetuates cycle of harm. Option two, we could use this moment to build understanding. We could help people connect the dots between the rhetoric and support and the reality they're experiencing. We could show them when we fight for social programs, we're fighting for everyone, including them. Option three, we could focus on the real enemy, not the struggling, working, poor white families who voted wrong, but these white supremacist financial elites, career politicians, and mega corporations who created this environment in the first place. We could build coalition across racial lines based on shared economic interests. We could redirect anger from each other to the system that exploit all of us. This is revolution. The bottom line is every time they seek to harm us, they will ultimately harm themselves. That's how interconnected systems work. It's how shared humility operates. You cannot build a society that normalizes cruelty to one group of people without cruelty spreading to other groups. You cannot vote to take food from poor black children without eventually taking food from poor white children and poor other children. This is the original sin of America that everything is built upon. White America learned how to dehumanize Black Americans through slavery. White American learned how to justify inequality through the system of Jim Crow. White Americans learned how to criminalize poverty through the war on poverty, the war on drugs, and welfare reform. Living in a multicultural society has consequences for everyone who lives in that society where racism is allowed to flourish because it doesn't stay contained. The question now is whether we're we're going to use this moment to heal or to further be divided. We will continue to see that an attack on the vulnerable, regardless of race, as an act on our collective humanity. Everyone will feel the impact, and we have a choice now. We can keep voting for our own destruction in the name of hurting others, or we can vote for our collective survival. November 1st was a warning. The question is whether we're ready to listen. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comments section below this audio podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Our second topic, Black Americans must abandon American individualism. The reason why Black America is falling apart is because a majority of Black Americans have become Americanized due to social integration and cultural assimilation. Many Black Americans have developed a narcissist attitude. They care less about working with me in rebuilding our community and neighborhood, let alone care about the future generation of our Black youth and African youth. Again, next month, November 10th, next Monday, November 10th, will mark 34 years that I have been pushing my vision and plan to help improve Black America. I sacrificed 34 years of my life trying to recruit brave and smart, like minded Black Americans beyond Chicago and brave and smart, like minded African immigrants across the United States of America to join my virtual Christian organization, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. Yet I am still on first base, and this is unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I created this platform to broadcast my vision and plan to the global African family who resides in Canada, the Caribbeans, um, Europe, and across the African continent. I want to contribute to Africa's rising, but first, I need your help. Please help me get my revised book on that bestsellers list. Read my story for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, then you will automatically become a GRCAM member. I to encourage your family members or friends from your African nation to encourage them to read my ebook. And if they agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, specifically Black Chicago, then they will automatically become a GRCAM member. If you're serious about me expanding my Christian business to the African continent, then I need you all to do that for me. Read my story and help me get it on that bestsellers list so that way the Black world can take our cause serious. GRCAM is about solving our social problems at the community levels, starting in Chicago. Another reason why Black America is falling apart is because of American individualism. We are watching our people fall apart and watching our children lose their way. And we keep asking ourselves, what went wrong? We abandoned who we are. We traded our collective strength for the illusion of chasing the American dream, individual success, and it's destroying Black America. As I mentioned in my revised book, Black America didn't just survive the Middle Passage, we survived slavery, Jim Crow, um, I would say the crack epidemic, so much stuff. That's fine and dandy that we're still here in America, but those of you that's going to become GRCAM members, my thing is we're going to do the best that we can to get this business popping here in Chicago, make it a model for those that's not able to leave due to finances. Because I want GRCAM members to become global citizens, not to just, focus on America. America, the American empire is cracking and it's going to fall. Why? Because America is, I think they say, $36 trillion in debt. It's a lot of money because these white supremacist financial elites did the same thing that their predecessors done in Rome. They overstretched their hand. And so, and every empire is going to come to an end. Um, well, so we fought together side by side, shoulder to shoulder. We turned our pain into music, our struggle into art, our tears into testimonies. The white supremacist financial elites lynched our sons and daughters. They bombed our churches. This is who we are. This is why I'm going to, before I cut and run to Africa, um, I want to make sure that we get this business popping. Not for me, this is for our children. This is for our Black children and our African children. A child raised by a community grows up with the wisdom of elders, the protection of many, and the accountability that comes from knowing that everyone is watching out for them. Everyone is invested, everyone cares. That's what the grassroots community activist movement is all about. That children, that children doesn't just belong to one or two parents. That child belongs to all of us, and we are all responsible for making sure that child reaches their highest potential. Once Gakai of Chicago is established, I will turn the business over to my management team and expanded to South Africa. But again, I want to make sure that Sister Renee will be well taken care of. I want to make sure that we get the business popping on the west side of Chicago as well as on the south side of Chicago because we want to make Chicago a model. Now, in my book, I was saying it was my hope that Black Americans would embrace my vision and plan, and that it would be become a franchise like McDonald's, and that it would be in at least 25 cities in America, you know? But hey, here it is, um, 33 years later, and I'm still on first base. It still ain't up and running in Chicago. Like I say, this is spiritual warfare, ladies and gentlemen. Spiritual warfare. But like I say, I'm just doing the best that I can to get this. Like I say, my film project is my last attempt too, so ain't nothing more I can do. And I stopped paying on the business title and all that, but I want to do the best I can to get this film project fully funded and see what happens. Because there's nothing else I can do. Yes, I prayed and all that's been doing that. It's just hard to find, like-minded people. And I do want to share this too with my listeners. Yes, it's a lot of scammers that's out here, but please don't try to equate everybody online as a scammer. All I want people to do is to read my story. If you're not interested, delete me off your friends list. Go on about your business. I ain't trying to. My message ain't for you. And those of you that just sticking around, that's even in my social groups, your time is limited with me. Um, that's all I'm saying. So let me get back to my presentation. This is why I like to write out my stuff because I would go on, and I don't want to be doing that kind of stuff. I want to stay focused on the issues. Um, so I'm trying to build a legacy and international business, not remaining stagnant and bogged down another 34 years dealing with American issues. Community is survival. This is the fabric of Black Americans, woven, woven tight with threads of mutual responsibility, collective care, and shared destiny. After the civil rights era, notice how Black Americans start to move. The white supremacist financial elites um, allowed our Black middle class and upper middle class to integrate into the white suburbs. This allowed the Black ghettos to become vulnerable. They decided to flood our communities and neighborhoods with drugs, guns, and liquor stores, which I call in my revised book, the perfect genocide of a people, both physical and political. Our Black middle class and upper middle class American embrace American individualism as a model for success and accumulating of wealth. This gave rise to the every man for himself mentality. The new the nuclear family isolated in the suburban homes with a white picket fence, neighbors who don't know each other's. Our Black middle class and upper middle class mistook individualism for freedom. They sold them a dream that turned out to be a nightmare. They told our Black middle class and upper middle class that making it means leaving the hood behind, cutting ties with people who were not on your level, focusing on your own family and forgetting about everybody else. They convinced our Black middle class and upper class that success meant living in a big house in the suburbs. That was success. They made them believe that this was progress. Look how individualism is working out for them. Look at the pandemic of loneliness sweeping through white communities. Look at the mental health crisis, the drug and alcohol issues, the suicide rate, the complete breakdown of social cohesion. Look at how they treat their elders, pushing them into nursing homes. Look at how their children are raised by strangers because both parents are working themselves to death trying to maintain an illusion of individual success. That's what American individualism produced: isolation, loneliness, disconnection, and despair. The American empire is 36 trillion in debt, while China is on the verge of becoming the new world superpower. And also Africa is rising. And I want to be a part of Africa's rising. I want to contribute to that. But I can't do anything because right now I'm on a shoestring budget. It's very difficult for me. I have a multi-million dollar idea, but it is what it is. But before I cut and run to Africa again, I want to make sure we get it popping here in Chicago, point blank. We are not designed to operate as isolated individuals. Our strength has always been in our collective power. We move as a unit. We were unstoppable. When we pull our resources together, we build Black Wall Street. When we organize together, we integrated schools and secured voting rights. We stood shoulder to shoulder. That couldn't They couldn't break us. But when we scattered based on social class, Black middle class and upper middle class, they adopted this mentality of looking out for number one, individual advancement. We became exactly what our oppressors wanted us to be: divided and powerless. Think about what happened in Tulsa Greenwood District. That wasn't just prosperity, that was group economics in action. And that's what I'm trying to do with my business. You know, that's why I want Black middle class professionals on my management team to help me run this thing. Yes, I'm willing to pay, but in order for me to pay, I got to do this film project because unfortunately, a lot of our people don't like to read, and it is what it is. Black doctors treated Black patients. Black lawyers served Black clients. Black teachers taught Black children. It was understood that your success and my success was intertwined. All GRCAM members will operate as a community. Our religion is not about individualism. It's a religion of collective responsibility, of brotherhood and sisterhood. When one part of the body is in pain, the whole body feels it. That's the model we will use to ensure wealth circulates through our business and our community. We want to display a community of mutual kindness, compassion, and sympathy. When children in any African American community are failing, we would mobilize to be sure that child reach their academic goals. However, we want to make sure that they're going to be GRCAM members. Now, like I say, we want to separate ourselves from con artists, hardened criminals, degenerates, pedophiles, um, off-code Negroes, Black Boule, you know, the sellouts. So I'm just saying we just got to raise that bar. That's all. Because a lot of our people are listening to people that don't have a vision at all. So of course, they ain't gonna go anywhere. Um, and again, this is why I'm reaching out to the global African family. I just, I don't want to die in America. I want to bring my vision, and uh, I want to work with Africans that want more out of life. You know, I gave Black Americans, 33 years of my life. I don't want to do this another 33 years, and that's real. Black Americans, please embrace my vision and plan while we still have a little time left because it's going to get worse here in America. I'm just saying. Because again, America, is $36 trillion in debt. And so it is what it is. We have to return to the people we once were. We have to survive and thrive together before we got introduced into individualism. This is not just a spiritual issue, this is a survival issue. In these trying times, the system of oppression are tightening their grips. When economic inequality is growing, when our children are being funneled into the school to prison pipeline, when our communities are being gentrified left and right, out of existence. We cannot afford to face these challenges as individuals. We need each other now more than ever. We need to rebuild our communities and neighborhoods. We need to recreate those networks of mutual support. We need to remember that our success is meaningless if our brother or sisters is struggling. My wealth is worthless if my community is impoverished. We must shed off the ways of the colonizer. These are not these mentalities, these philosophies, these approaches to life. We must return to our roots. We must remember who we are. We must rebuild the structures of mutual support that sustain our ancestors. We must create economies where we support Black businesses. Every time we bypass a Black owned a business for the corporate chain, we're choosing individualism over community. Black America, the choice are before us. We can continue down this path of American individualism, watching our community fragment further, watching our children lose their way. We have to reject the colonized mentality. We can build something strong, something lasting, something that will honor our ancestors and secure our children's future. The time is now, not tomorrow, because every day we delay is another day our community grows weaker. Another day, our children absorb toxic individualism. We are a people of community. We are a people of collective strength. That's who we've always been, and that's who we must be again. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Thank you all for listening to our audio podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Please be sure to click the subscribe button, the like button. Um, we will very much appreciate that. Please give us a good rating. Put me on blast by telling all of your friends and family to listen to our content on our YouTube page. I'm going to send a challenge out to everyone that's listening to this audio podcast. I need all hands on deck to support our film project so that we can move beyond cyberspace and get our story on the big screen to let the Black world know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people that are trapped in American ghettos starting in Chicago. Quote, Hood Liberator made in Chicago. The war against Willie Lynch begins. You can be a part of this historic docudrama by contributing to our crowdfunding pages, which are on GoFundMe, Buy Me a Coffee, or our PayPal Giving Fund page, which will help fund our marketing, promotion, clearance, legal, and general expenses. If you are a U.S. citizen, then I recommend that you donate to our PayPal Giving Fund page because you can use that as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit faith-based and community advocacy organization. You can also purchase items from our virtual store or purchase my revised book. The ebook is $9.99. Softcover book is $15 plus shipping and handling. We appreciate your support. You can find all of the links below this audio podcast in the comments section. Thank you all for listening to our YouTube replay. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing. I want to thank all of you for listening to our audio podcast on Spotify as well as Podchaser. If you are new to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast, welcome to our safe space where we discuss Black issues and African issues. We do this every week. This will conclude our audio podcast for today. We will see you on the next episode. Peace and blessings.